Okay, my name is Al Wolovich, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about Frank Lloyd Wright. Wright was, in fact, perhaps the most important architect to have worked in Chicago, at least in terms of public recognition. Having come here in the 1880s, he worked in the offices of Louis Sullivan for a number of years, and then had an independent practice for about 15 years before moving off to other activities. Wright is best known for what we would call prairie style of architecture, at least during his Chicago period. And most of Wright's buildings were done, at least in the Chicago area, as residential buildings. His greatest collection of work is in the Oak Park River Forest area. However, in Chicago, it is still possible to find some works by Wright. For instance, on the near south side, or down in Hyde Park, I should say, there are two buildings. One, the Roby House, an extremely famous prairie school building that stands on the campus of the University of Chicago. Another is the Heurtley House, and that one is not quite as prairie style, but it's a very interesting building showing him in transition to prairie style. He was involved in Charnley House in the Gold Coast area of Chicago. He was still working for Louis Sullivan, so it's considered a Sullivan building, but Wright very much had an influence in the building and did much of the design work. And of course, Wright also acted as a remodeler on occasion and was brought in to do the lobby of the Rookery, a great building designed by John Wellborn Root in the 1880s that in the early 1900s Frank Lloyd Wright came to and created a new lobby design that is still in the building. Wright is definitely an architect well worth visiting. Check out any guidebook. You will find his buildings in Oak Park and River Forest, and of course even the Chicago buildings, while a bit scattered, are always interesting. And the two that are accessible, the lobby of the Rookery and Roby House, does in fact run as a house museum which has tours on a regular basis.